So today I'm going to talk about exploring blockchain and its revolutionary applications. Basically, some of the projects we did in the past with the blockchain technology, different blockchain technology, private and public. I'm not really going in too much detail into the the theoretical side of anything, because the audience may have like different backgrounds. So I'll just go in a very high level. The projects and why we use blockchain, what tech stack we use in that one, which particular blockchain network we used. And then in the Q&A session, if you wanted to know a bit more about the technical side and all, we can always have a Q&A. So this is one of our projects we did 1.5 years ago. One of my clients, they're based in Aberdeen, so they run a fruits and vegetable shops. They wanted to sell local fruits and vegetables to the local community. So they said, okay, we wanted to build a solution that uses blockchain technology, so we can show that all the fruits and vegetables comes from local. So normally, when I work with a client, I always go and speak to the user, because we need to know the problem first before we make the solution. So I went to speak to the farmers, and then I spoke, they were all very passionate about what they're doing. They said, okay, we are working with the all organic stuff and all. And then I asked, okay, once you produce these things, how the operation is going, the supply chain. And they said, okay, we'll have a supplier comes from Glasgow. They take all the things to the Glasgow and they redistribute back to Aberdeen. So then I thought, okay, so when you're buying from Aberdeen, basically we assume that it's coming from Aberdeenshire. It may be traveled only 20 miles or 30 miles, but in reality, it actually traveled to Glasgow and came back from there. But the thing is, we can only see the information where it made. We don't know how many miles it traveled. So when we build the system, I made some mobile application that connects to the blockchain network that capture the geolocation of each stages, and finally it calculated the miles it must travel and it showed to the consumer. So when we show that, the shop owner tried to find a different way in transportation to reduce these the foot miles. So basically, if we don't measure anything, we don't try to reduce it. So it wasn't possible with the current technology or anything. So this diagram I normally show to the normal people, not the blockchain people, just to show how things work. Basically, we have different stages in supply chain stages. So they have their own system. Some of them have a system at all. So what we do is in the blockchain, if they already have a system, we try to integrate their system with their blockchain network. If they don't have anything, we maybe provide a web application or a mobile application that connects to the blockchain. Then we measure we record each and every stages. And then finally, we create a QR code using the batch ID that we are using, and then create a QR code. So then consumer can scan the QR code, they can see all the information in a really nice UI in the mobile phone. So people ask why do we need blockchain? We can, what's the benefit of blockchain basically? So it creates a transparent and immutable data available to all stakeholders. So the traditional system, once if you have access to the system, you can make changes to the system. I remember that a couple of years ago, Tesco withdrawn their honey from the shelf, saying that it's altered, or maybe sugar syrup into that. And then the next day I saw in the news saying okay, we know where all these things coming from. Or, yeah, of course they know where that comes from. But as a consumer, how do we know that whether they're trying, they're telling truth or not? So, but if it is on a blockchain, once the information goes to the blockchain with the batch ID, then even if the batch is wrong, then they can't go back and change that. So that's the immutability. The blockchain, that's what the blockchain can offer, the immutability and transparency. And again, we can measure the carbon footprint, foot miles, and show it to the consumer. So that will encourage consumer to buy more the environment friendly product and all. And the other thing, obviously people ask why do we need blockchain? We can create with the normal traditional technology. One thing is, normally if you are building a system for one customer, you don't really need a blockchain because you have all the access and all. But if you are working on a system where many stakeholders are involved or many companies are involved, they wanted to share data between each other, then the blockchain is the best solution, because it's not easy to integrate multiple systems. Okay, if someone argues, then they can argue with me, because I work in software and I integrated many systems and I know how to pay. Because two reasons. One, systems can be developed in different technology. One may be in Microsoft, one may be in Java, one may be in PHP, lots of technologies. And the databases, one may be a SQL, the relational database may be a NoSQL. It's not easy to integrate systems. And the second thing is, developers hate changes to their system. They don't want to make any changes for the other people to integrate their system. And again, the company don't want to open a door to other company to get into the system. So the blockchain it solves all the problems. Like we only interested in the data we understand. We create a smart contract based on the requirement. We only like share the data which we are all interested in, and we are not really directly going to their system. We create an API connection to their system. We only extract the data from there, and the smart contract is same for all these customers. So they all can see that's the transparency and what's happening there. So yeah, so that's it. This is not very clear, but this is one of the projects we recently did with the UK Space Agency, utilizing satellite data, blockchain, and AI. So again, I'm talking about blockchain now here, but blockchain is not a silver bullet. We can't really build anything with only blockchain. Blockchain is a part of a technology. So we basically look for the problem, and then we use the right technology to solve the problem, and blockchain can be one of them. So this one, what we did is like the farmers, this is a part of the system. This is a user interface for farmers. So basically they can input the information of their farm into our system. So we take the geolocation of that farm and we send an API to a satellite, Sentinel to satellite, and we get the spectrum data from the satellite, and then we can predict we can actually find the health of the farm. So this is the vegetation and the water health. So based on that, they know that like how the health of the farm is going on. And then once like they have the crops and all, we integrate with the blockchain and we show it to the consumer. So this is the technology stack. So we use basically Sentinel to the satellite data. We use fast AI for the prediction, and we use enterprise level blockchain platform. This is a private blockchain platform we use for this project. And then we can onboard like many stakeholders into the system: farmers, distributor, regulatory board, consumers. So we use our platform here. So that project, we can extend that into farmers, like open farmers market. So open farmers market basically is once you have like many farmers into our system, then they can like show the crop, and then like a marketplace, like a Facebook and all. So if someone wants to buy local producers, they can go to the marketplace, and then they can see everything behind the scenes transparently. So that's the next level. We haven't built that yet. This is in our pipeline. This is another case study. We talk about like what's the use of blockchain. So this case study, 5 companies are working on a common goal, okay, and they wanted to share the data of greenhouse gas emission, and the company who are like leading that project, they wanted to create a report and like submit the report to the regulatory board. This is usual practice in many companies, like in oil and gas, for example, like they're doing it all the time. What normally happens is like they see like company 1 is the main company, okay, they are dealing with all these things, and the other companies are maybe contractors for this company. So they basically having a regular meeting and asking them, okay, give me the data. So there are different ways they can share the data. So one, maybe like they can share the data in an Excel spreadsheet, or maybe they can like make a phone call or have a meeting and then tell the data, or they can integrate the data directly to that. There's different ways to use. Like, and trust me, like this is happening in real now. Like it's not fully integrated now. Like it's all happening like that. But there are like some drawbacks in the system. First, there's no real-time data sharing between companies. So if you look at that, all this data is going to the company 1. There's no data transfer happening between company 2 and company 3 or anyone. Like only company 1 see the data. And then, so for example, like if I'm a company 3, okay, I gave the data, or like a company 5, send the data to the company 1, and then later on, I go back to my system, I can change the data. Company 1, so there is a data mismatch can happen. Even company 1 like get all the data, and they think, oh, now that doesn't look right, so I'm gonna change the data. So they can change the data, they can create a separate report, nobody will know. So there's no transparency in the system. Again, the regulatory board only get a report in once in a while. So maybe they're only creating a report in a month, so they don't really see in real time. So these are the problems happens in the current technology. So what we are proposing is, rather than like we take away all these things, and then all these companies have their own systems. We know that, and then we are only interested in the greenhouse gas emission data. Okay, so for in this scenario, so we said, okay, we wanted to share the data, so we write a smart contract. We call all these companies and we said, okay, we are going to share this data. So you have like this is the data we need from your company, and then we write the smart contract based on the requirement. So everyone can see the smart contract, so it's clear for everyone. And then we install the smart contract on the blockchain. And we basically create an enterprise level permissioned blockchain network. Only people are like permissioned, like can join into that network, and they all have the same business logic. and then we connect that blockchain network into their system using API calls. So in that way, whenever like a company makes changes, that smart contract will kick in and then fetch the data into the system, and everyone will see the data at the same time. Even the regulatory board see that in real time. And once the data goes there, they won't be able to change it. If they wanted to change, they can change it, but we can see the audit trail, why they change it. So in that way, the benefit is the real-time data exchange between all the businesses and transparency, and then no one owns the system. This is important because if you're working on a company, normally the bigger company wants to own the system. And then what happens, like if another bigger company come into the system, then there will be like, an ego and like power. Whereas this one is more like democratic. No one owns the system because they all have the same smart contract installed on the system. They all have like their own like blockchain nodes within their system. So the blockchain makes data immutable, and that fosters the trust between the business, and again like regulatory boards can see like what's happening in real time. So when we started working with the companies, one of the hurdles we had is like we have to choose a blockchain network. We can either go for a public blockchain or a private enterprise level blockchain network. And the public blockchain network, at that time, Ethereum was the most popular one. Two problems we find, like Ethereum was so expensive, because every time when you're making transaction, you need to pay the gas fees. And for a supply chain, like a fruits and vegetables, if you are putting an information of a cabbage, that cost may be more than like the cabbage for the gas fees. So you need to find another solution. So we went for the private blockchain network. But again, the problem is if you are building a private blockchain network, we basically build the network on a cloud. So the cloud, if you want to build a blockchain network, that you need to have at least like 6 gig of RAM, and the virtual machine has to have like certain configuration. That costs you money. So when I built it the first time, it cost a lot of money. But then the next client came, again I need to build the same thing. It's so much work to build the whole blockchain network, and then hosting that again costs more money. So we need to, it's not viable for us. So we had to find a way to reduce the cost. Then we thought like, okay, what if we can share the same blockchain network between the clients if they are using the same kind of like traceability one. So then we did that. Then the challenge was like you need to come up with a smart contract that can handle any sort of data. So we solved the problem. Then we thought, okay, we can build an application layer on top of it and make this as a platform, blockchain as a service platform. So if anyone wants to connect to that blockchain network, they can simply connect using an API key in 2 minutes time. So this is our blockchain platform. We are open to like anyone like who wanted to use this blockchain platform as a service, they can use it. And also we're using the same thing internally as well. Like if you are building a project, which is like very basic projects, we can still use this one. This was actually a video, but oh no, actually here, because I'm playing from my computer. A cute little
Alice passed from a university. Her university issues her certificate that is added to public blockchain network. Public blockchain is a network of verified computers. Once we share a document into public blockchain network, a copy of the document is stored in each computer in the network. Hence it's immutable. Alice receives an email with her certificate credentials. On another day, when she submits her documents for verification to an employer or other institutions, employer easily verifies the certificate in the blockchain network entering the credentials. No more certificate fraud. You don't have to risk the credibility of your institution from now. Certificates in blockchain assure you. Study or work abroad with hassle-free document verification process. Tamper-proof certificates. Lifetime storage.
So this
Let's see how each.
So this is another project like we worked on, and we are now like talking to clients. So basically, for university or a professional certification company, they wanted to issue the certificate through the blockchain. They can do it this way. So in that way, like if anyone wants to verify, they can verify through the public blockchain. They can go to the blockchain block explorer. They can see like who issued the certificate, what's the metadata in there. So you can go like into very detail. So this is just talking about that one, like the same like you saw in the video. So this is another platform we built for NFT, issuing NFT. So we have clients from, they don't have like blockchain knowledge basically. They are like, gin manufacturer, beer companies, and like foods and vegetable companies. But see, like one of our gin manufacturing companies said they wanted to build a limited edition gin, and they wanted to make it as an NFT. But they don't know how to like create wallets, or they don't have a cryptocurrency or anything. So we build a platform for them. So this is very simple, like they can simply log into there, they can upload an image of that, and then then when they click on it, basically we have a wallet assigned to this system, and then that creates the NFT, ERC21 NFT, and then put it into this system, and also like that link to any of this marketplace if they wanted to connect to like maybe OpenCRM, they put it there. And then if they wanted to transfer the NFT to other client, all they need is just the email address. So the client will get the email, a link, and then when they click on it, they can claim the NFT to their wallet, or their existing wallet, or they can create a new one. So this is mainly for companies who doesn't have blockchain knowledge, and also if a company already have a system but they want to integrate NFT as part of their operations, we can simply use it. So this is a standalone UI, but we can integrate the same UI to their existing system as well. This is another project we worked recently. It's for e-waste management system. So basically, if you are dropping your mobile phone or any electronics item into a drop-off point, this works like slightly opposite way to the fruits and vegetable one. But the fruits and vegetable one, like we see the final product, we scan it, and we can see the origin. Whereas this one, we drop the product, so we don't really see the product. So when we drop the product, what we do is like we use some NFC, like near field communication sticker, stick into that, and then connect to the blockchain. And then every time that moves to the next location, all they need is just tap it there, put the information. And this is a portal available for the public. So the portal, as soon as like we drop that one, we create an ID for that, and then that ID will appear here. And when you click on it, we can see that where that product is at the moment. So this is a research project I did with some universities. So we basically built it, but we didn't really implement that because it was a research project. But we have system in place anyway if anyone wants to integrate that into their system. So this is another system like about track assets. I think like we discussed like with someone like recently. So if you are mainly for the companies like who wanted to like it's not really tokenization basically, because we are not converting an asset to an NFT or anything. We just like create a new asset as a blockchain entity, and then like we can input the information about that asset and the geolocation. So if a company have like many assets and they wanted to track where that gone is, like we can use the system. And okay, so these are all. We have like a few more projects, but I don't have enough time to explain. So the reason I explain all these projects because we use different technology for different projects. Some of them like we use a private blockchain network, which is Hyperledger Fabric we use for creating the private blockchain network. And for building this software application, we use JavaScript frameworks. And then for the mobile application, again, we use JavaScript because it's much easier. Because our developers are basically JavaScript developers. I don't really need to hire them. And then the NFT and then certificate verification system, we built it on top of public blockchain network. So we write the smart contract on Ethereum and we install it on a Polygon. The reason is Ethereum is expensive. As you know, like every transaction costs a lot of money. And for our use case, all we need is just a public blockchain network, and it has to be transparent and decentralized. So Polygon is a really good solution. So we use Polygon. And yes, certificate NFT. Yeah, basically like right now like we are focusing on these two technologies like Polygon. So we did that with Ethereum, Polygon, and Binance. But now like we are focusing on Polygon because it's cheaper and it's solid system and really good community. And Hyperledger Fabric for enterprise level applications because mainly like if a company wants to build their system, they are careful about their data. They don't want their data to go outside. So in that case, we use Hyperledger Fabric. So that's all for today. So if you have any questions, please ask.